Hello everyone, I'm Eco Chef Tom Hunt and welcome to ValleyFest. So today I'm going to cook you a recipe from my new book, Eating for Pleasure, People and Planet, which is all about food sustainability. So over the last 3, 4, 5 years, I've been working on this book, really pulling together a manifesto for food sustainability. Lyra, our little daughter, is picking up our copper jug over there. You right down there, love? So over the last several years, I've been developing a food sustainability philosophy called Root to Fruit Eating. And now I plan to talk you a little bit through that whilst I make you what I call not avocado on toast. So avocados are delicious. They're also... Are you right down there, Lyra? Maybe you can come and cook with Dada. Do you want to come and cook with Dada? Yeah? Yeah? My very patient wife is filming whilst our daughter Lyra is basically trying to tuck down her trousers. Not avocado on toast. Avocados, of course, completely delicious, but they are, or do certainly have, a huge carbon footprint. And they're also not necessarily very good for the local peoples from where they come, in likely countries like Mexico and Kenya, where our insatiable desire for this wonderful fruit has basically lifted the price of that staple food, meaning that local peoples can't necessarily afford it so much. So the moral of the story here really is eat avocados as a treat, but you can also experiment with some more local products like broad beans to make different and very similar foods. So I'm going to be blending up these wonderful broad beans. Broad beans aren't just a good alternative because they're a local vegetable. They're a good alternative because they're actually a brilliant thing to grow even within a conventional farming system if you want to eat sustainably, because they tend to not need so much water, fertilizer or pesticides. They're a hardy crop, and they're also a nitrogen fixer, which means that they take nitrogen from the air, store it in their roots, and this helps naturally fertilize the soil, which is brilliant because then the next crop that's grown in a rotation, which could be anything like a leafy green or something that's more nitrogen thirsty, you will find that you need, even in a conventional farming system, much less fertilizer. So I should start this off. It's actually a very, very simple dish. And it's remarkably like avocado on toast as well. Once these are pureed down, they look very great, like green and velvety, and the texture's very similar too. Okay, so come in a bit closer, Tam. Often chefs like to get a bit chefy and over-refine ingredients, a bit like, the food industry really, and they would consider throwing away this outer shell in order to reveal this vivid green and very beautiful broad bean from the inside. But of course, this is where root fruit eating comes in. We're wasting a lot of the fibre here, and fibre, of course, is a very nourishing macronutrient that should not be wasted and should be incorporated whenever it can be. If you've got some real bruisers, like huge broad beans, sometimes the skins can just be a touch too bitter, but generally actually, as a root to fruit chef, I'd always find a way of incorporating those into the dish. So 360 grams of broad beans, but you could use any quantity really. It's such a simple recipe. into a blender. And then I'm going to add some coriander stalks. Normally a bunch of coriander I'd say this would be about 70% stalk. This isn't quite a bunch, of course, but throwing that stalk away of any soft herb is just nuts, really, isn't it? Because that's a lot of the weight and nutrition, and again, the fiber that really we want to be eating and that we don't have enough of in our diets these days. So all that you need to do really is just chop them up a little bit before popping them into the blender. Actually, last time I made this was on James Martin's Saturday morning program. It's bringing back memories. It was a good session, actually. I went on James Martin's program about 6 years ago with my last book, The Natural Cook, and he just took the mick out of me completely. He was like, not having any of it. What, sustainability? I mean, he was still kind, but this time he has completely changed his tune. He was even telling me that he was thinking about doing a program about sustainability, which I thought was really interesting, and kind of made me feel like, yeah, sustainability is in the mainstream now. People care about what they want, what they're eating when it comes to not just their own health and the taste of the food, but the planet as well. So I'm going to put in a whole lime, the juice from a whole lime. I like it limey. And you'll notice, I'm just going to turn this off. For some reason the oven's beeping. I'm just using a very similar recipe to guacamole, but instead of avocados, I'm using these broad beans. Now, whole lime in there. Unfortunately, this is a waxed lime, so we do not want to eat the skin. I normally look for organic, unwaxed limes because then we can add the zest as well, which adds a whole new depth of flavour and is totally and utterly delicious. Then we're just going to blend this up with a little bit of olive oil. Well, a little bit, I say a little bit. I quite like a lot of olive oil. And perhaps a dash of water just to help it blend. But only really enough. Oh, I should say these broad beans, I'm using a frozen. You can definitely pod them yourself. But if you do that, they need to be blanched very quickly, just in some boiling water. Pop them into that water for about 3 minutes, just to make sure they're cooked through. Drain them, cool them, and then you'll be ready to blend them. Okay, so if that's enough liquid, this should just blend straight up. Let's see. On goes the buzzer. Yes, that's looking good. This is an afternoon snack for us, Tama. Now you can work on the texture. If you like it chunky, just blend it a little bit. If you like it smooth, then make sure it's well blended. And that's how I like it. Okay, not avocado on toast. I'll pop this in the sink. There we go. Now I made some toast here earlier. I'm going to put some chili on it as well. Another quick story, we make harissa at our festival cafe Poco, which is at Green Man in Shambhala every year, except this year unfortunately, and hopefully ValleyFest next year. We make buckets and buckets of harissa. We make this amazing fermented base that we then add tomato sauce to every day. We used to just lop off the top of the chili and we'd waste all of these tops. Now, it doesn't look like much when you're preparing one chili, but when you're preparing 300 chilies, that adds up. And it really does. It ended up being about 500 grams or a kilo's worth of chilies, when in fact, you can literally just pop that chili off, top off. Another fun fact, this actually contains lactobacillus, which is an incredible bacteria that is very good for our guts and is in most fermented products, but you can use these to make yogurt. So collect them up. Go and check out my Guardian column, Waste Not. There's a recipe on there for chili top yogurt, which is a really fun way to make yogurt from scratch without any kind of starter. Now I'm just chopping these chilies to top our not guacamole on toast. I'm going to make two, one for Tamsin, one for me. This is an early supper. On goes the toast, a little bit more olive oil. This is, the book's actually vegan, or the recipes are whole food, plant-based, but they're adaptable. So if you want to add meat or dairy to them, that's totally cool. And in fact, even though the recipes are plant-based, in the beginning, which is a rather chunky introduction, I talk a lot about good animal agriculture because I totally advocate and support good animal agriculture and don't think we all need to only eat plants in order to be sustainable. Although certainly a plant-focused diet is the way to go. Okay, not avocado on toast. Here we go. I hope you're hungry, Tamsin.
Always.
Always. Nice generous portion on there. This makes 4 to 6 very generous portions. Now I'm just going to dress these up with a little bit of fresh coriander, and now I like double chili action, so I've got some fresh chilies which I've chopped on here. Tamsin, you like less than me, don't you? Do you just want a few? But I like double chili, so we're going to get some chili flakes on there as well. For you, Tam?
Sure.
And then some sumac, which is one of my favourite seasonings. Sumac has a kind of very citrusy flavour to it, and it's actually a flower, a tree flower, which you see all over the UK. Growing. So if you find one, it's worth picking a few of the buds and drying them to make your own sumac. So there we have not avocado on toast. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, ValleyFest. It's a pleasure to be part of this, and I hope to see you all at the festival next year. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.